Rise the Tide, everybody. Hafaday, Joe Guam here. Hey, I want to thank you guys for tuning in and watching another Rise the Tide episode with me. If you're new to the episodes, welcome. Rise the Tide comes from the ancient Chinese phrase, high tide rises all ships. And so if we it's the notion that if we give to the tide and help rise the tide and give kind of back to the community in a way, then everybody else can also benefit from it. So for me, Rise the Tide, these episodes are my way of just sharing the, kind of the things that I've learned over the years being a musician, and sharing that with you. Maybe you might want to be a musician yourself, or maybe you have to work with musicians somehow. So hopefully you guys enjoy this. And today I want to talk to you guys about how do I prepare my vocals for a show. So what I want to, you can probably find a ton of tips and tricks and from professional vocal coaches, maybe singers, professional singers themselves, on how they prepare their vocals. So and that's a lot of them out there on YouTube. I just want to share with you what my approach is to vocals. So there are there's 4 different time frames around before, during, and after the show. Around the show that I want to focus on, what I do, what has worked for me. Now, what I feel in this scenario and this topic is that not every tip or trick is gonna work for everyone. So what I may do may not work for you, and what you see on other YouTube videos may not work. Now, here's a great example. Some folks use cough drops for their vocals. Cough drops doesn't work for me because the sugar in there doesn't, it hinders my voice. It bothers my throat. So I don't do cough drops because of the sugar. Some folks say, lemon. I don't do lemon. Lemon makes my throat very scratchy, so that one doesn't work for me. So here's what I do. I want to talk first about preparation of your vocal cords and your voice before a show. And preparation comes around maybe 24 to 48 hours before your show, before you're supposed to sing. It's almost like the prep, right? And before you go running, you stretch, that kind of thing. But even before you go running, you diet. You put yourself and you eat some nutritious food. So this is kind of like the pre-warm-up, not the warm-up yet. So the pre-warm-up, I drink warm or hot ginger cinnamon tea. Now I could probably put like a recipe in the description, but I essentially take 6 ounces of ginger. I chop it up, dice it up, or you can muddle it. And then I put it in a pot with 48 ounces of water, and I boil it for 2 minutes. And then while it starts boiling, I just put just a dash, a little dash of cinnamon into just ground cinnamon powder into the pot, and I stir it up. And then once after 2 minutes it's been boiling, I strain out everything, and there's a ginger cinnamon tea, and I add some honey to it to taste. So that works for me. It really helps prepare my throat. It kind of repairs, in a way, it recovers my vocal cords, and it really feels good for me and my vocal cords. So if you guys want to try that out, I use the ginger cinnamon tea. Now I do this 24 to 48 hours, and shout out to my wife because she makes me the tea all the time, which is awesome. But yeah, I just drink them in little spurts. I keep a little bit in the refrigerator, pour a little, put it in the microwave, warm it up, add some honey, and that's kind of what I use to kind of prep my vocals way before the show. So the second phase of vocal preparation is gonna be right at about 30 to 60 minutes, right? So maybe like half an hour to an hour before you're supposed to sing. And what I do is I eat something. Now you wanna be careful here because you don't wanna be singing on a full stomach. And how do I know this? I found this out the hard way. If you sing on a full stomach, just the transition of air from all the singing, you're most likely to start burping. And I found out the hard way. I'm in the middle of a song, I'm singing, and yeah, a burp just came out uncontrollably. So yeah, you might not want to eat a lot, but you do want to eat something. And I have found what you eat, that's dependent on you. What I found is that something with protein and some sort of fat, like good fat, like I mean, it doesn't even have to be good fat, just some sort of protein and some sort of fat. not a lot, right? So sometimes it's a couple of French fries. Here on Guam, we have some really good barbecue, and the places I play at sell barbecue. And short ribs. The short ribs are really small pieces. Sometimes they eat just like two or three pieces, small pieces of short ribs. Right? It has great protein. It has great fat in it. Sometimes I'll just eat like a cheeseburger from McDonald's, and the cheeseburger, not anything big, not like a quarter pounder or a Big Mac or a double cheeseburger, just a cheeseburger from McDonald's. And when I eat it, I eat it slow so that the proteins in the meats and the fats, the good fats, the oils and the fats, they kind of coat, the vocal cords in the throat and give you kind of like those nutrients surrounding it. So that's eat something, 30 to 60 minutes before you're supposed to sing. But again, don't eat too much. Now, right before you're supposed to go on, we're talking like maybe 30 minutes before you're supposed to go on, I do vocal warm-ups. Now, these aren't my idea. I got these vocal warm-ups from Brett Manning, who is a really famous vocal coach. I think you guys may have seen him on American Idol. I saw some videos that he does where he just starts humming. So you hum the tune that you're going to be singing, or just a scale like just that, getting your vocal cords warmed up. The second thing is to use they call them vocal trills, I think, where you make the sound B, like ba 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 ba, but then you also roll your lips too by going right. You do that up the scale. The other thing that you can use is the letter D, da 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 da, or you can go drr, drr, drr. That's rolling the tongue, right? And then the last one is a nye sound. Now this one sounds kind of weird, and when I first heard it, I was like, what? But it's kind of like a baby sound, like nye, right? Like nye, 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 right? And apparently there's a scientific explanation for all of these exercises, especially the nye ones. If he explains that if you hear a baby, when they cry, they right, they're really high pitched, and that's because there's a control of the vocal cord to make that pitch when you make that sound. So nye, 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 right? So you can look these up. Again, just search Brett Manning, but those are what I use. And what scales do I follow? Well, if you go on YouTube and you literally search for piano vocal warm-up scales, you'll see a lot. There's a ton. Just pick any one you want. The major scale is probably the most familiar one, the one that I've been singing. So pick one, and it goes through all the scale from low to high, and just follow it all the way through. So that's what I do, and I actually do that in my car on the way to a show. When I'm driving the show, I do that in my car. I warm up. So that's a vocal warm-up that you can use. Now, the last time frame is after the show. You've already sang, maybe you've sang 3 hours. What do you do after the show? First thing you do, don't talk. Especially if your vocals aren't empty. Don't talk. Try and save your voice. Now, when I'm with my wife and I come home and my vocals are on empty and I have a show the next day, I text my wife. We text each other, or I just point and I try to just don't talk. The less you use your vocal cords, the better. Also, you might want to think about, at that point, you also might want to take a drinking some more tea, starting that the ginger cinnamon tea or whatever tea you use, starting that hot tea remedy again. So those are the time frames, right? 24 hours to 40 hours before in preparation with the tea. About an hour before, eat something that has good, protein and fats in it. Don't eat too much, but something that you feel coat your throat. Try a whole bunch of different stuff, and then right before, maybe a half an hour before, you do some vocal warm-ups like I showed you, and then after it, you don't talk afterwards. Save your vocal cords and save your time. Now, all of this is a moot point and doesn't make any sense if you don't use proper vocal technique. So like if you are singing from your chest, it's down in your chest, and you try and bring that note up to a higher note that doesn't fit in that register, you're going to be straining your vocal cords and essentially ruining them. If you look up, Brett Manning teaches that there are 7 vocal registers. Chest is one of them. There's a whistle voice. There's a head voice, I believe. There's a falsetto. That's another register. Right? Guys have falsetto. Those are all different registers. And each register has a different note that it can produce. So you don't want to take a note that's meant for your chest and try and bring that up with your chest all the way up to a note that's probably meant for, you know, your head voice or your falsetto voice. So you want to try and find the register that note fits in, and gracefully transition between your registers without any breaks. So using proper vocal technique will help you a long way more than any tea or any food can or any, you know, warm-ups. Using proper vocal technique is probably the biggest advice I can give you. So if you're a singer, a musician, what do you do to warm up your vocals? I'd love to know. I could potentially learn something from you, so please share it in the comments below. You can message me privately. I'd love to connect with you that way. If you're not a singer and you've just seen other people do it, what do they do? You know, or what do you expect from a vocalist when they're warming up or whatever? I've seen people, you know, catch me warming up in the bathroom sometimes before a show. So thank you guys for tuning in with me on this Rise the Tide episode. Hope you guys are having a good day. Rise the Tide, everybody. Zeus Mossy.